Polio, as you and I have spoken about numerous times, not only on TV but at gatherings, is eradicated in this country and many countries, but
Yeah.
it still exists in pockets throughout the world.
Yes, there are four viral areas that are not controlled, and they are Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nigeria, and India. And the cost now, I mean, the immunization per se is inexpensive. 2 or 3 drops is like 60, 70 cents, literally. But it's the idea where you have to go to get these people done. They're in, you go outside here and you're on a street. That doesn't happen. You have to go, and I've seen it on where they've traveled by donkey, elephant, and goat carts, everything like that. So it is.
Is there a distrust in some of these countries
Yes.
as well
Yeah.
that medical professionals have to deal with, as far as giving them a vaccine?
Yes, there's an anti-Western bias, and they being Rotary, United Nations, World Health Organization, have had to do a lot of work to overcome this bias by religious leaders, if you will, using it as a Western trick, or if you give to your girls, it will make them sterile. Now that had to be overcome, and hopefully it is being done with some cooler heads and so forth. So I saw an article in the New York Times 3 years ago where a young girl had spaghetti legs from polio, and the wife and the mother didn't acquire the immunization because her religious leader told her that the youngster would be sterile, and but she got polio. And polio can never be eradicated. What it is controlled, and it breeds in areas where
it's a virus, correct?
It's a virus, gets into your system via mouth, water or food. Something gets into your nervous system and attacks the nerve endings at your spine, and therefore your various parts of your body are affected.
And Bill, there's a movement among some parents, not only in our country but throughout the Western developed world, not to have their children inoculated. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't like to get into that debate, but people ask me that, and it's hard to avoid. The greater good is served by immunization. I think a lot of these people are not against immunization per se. I think some of them question the amount given as maybe being somewhat overkill, or the closeness of it being given to the individual baby. That is something that I leave to others to decide. And all I would say is that I much rather have somebody immunized than not.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate, but it's one that's not going to leave our society for a while.
It will not.
No. And 25 years as a Rotarian, or you've been working on this issue for 25 years with the Rotary Club, and you've built some world partners with it as well.
Yes, we have a challenge grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where if we raise $200 million, Rotary International, they will give us $355 million. And thus far we have reached $105 million, and this has to be done by June 30th of 2012.
I think you're halfway there, and you got 2 years to go. Good luck.
Right.
Bill, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us
it.
on the show and all your work with child immunization issues.
Appreciate it, Mayor.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
For Bill Melia, for Erin and Nicole, I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.